So we just saw the new Steven Spielberg movie, The Fablesman, and Michelle Williams is in it. And why are you laughing? I didn't even say anything.
You said The Fablesman.
The Fablesmans.
Is it Fablesmans?
No,
Somebody
no, no.
Google this.
Fablemen.
It's the Fablemans.
The Fablemans.
The Fablemans.
The Fablemans. Okay, I got it.
I'll tell you.
Hey, why not? You know, Michelle Williams is in this movie. She was married to Heath Ledger, who played the Joker. And in this movie, she's married to Paul Dano, who plays the Riddler.
Oh.
In the last Batman movie.
That's where I recognized him from. The whole movie, I couldn't pick out his face.
I could, because I was like, he was so good as the Riddler.
He was great.
Who's the next Batman villain?
Well, Michelle Williams, when you figure out who you're marrying or dating next, let us know, because we'll know that he's probably going to end up in the next Batman movie.
Family, art. It'll tear you in two.
You stop making movies, it'll break your mother's heart.
I don't know.
Last Steven Spielberg movie we saw, West Side Story. I still consider it one of the greatest movies ever made. It's right. Like I'm still listening to America. I forgot it. I literally bought the soundtrack. I kid you not.
It's great.
Yeah, it's great. Like, and I remember when we watched In the Heights, I was like, "There's no movie, no musical that's gonna come out this year that's gonna beat In the Heights."
That's what I thought
In
too.
the Heights was good. Then we came out of West Side Story just crying.
Oh,
and like,
beautiful.
This is film. This is real film.
Yeah.
This is art. And I will say, like, obviously this movie is not as good as West Side Story for many reasons, but this movie was still really damn good.
Really great.
And I remember watching, I watched a few of like the making of this movie. Like Steven Spielberg said, this is the hardest movie he's ever made. And I was like, you made freaking Schindler's List,
Jurassic Park,
Saving Private. No, forget all that. Like Schindler's List is one of the saddest movies, most important movies ever made. Saving Private Ryan,
saddest, hardest,
like one of the greatest achievements about whatever a war movie. Like you have, like, you know, Munich. I don't know if you ever saw Munich, about you know, like the Olympics were in Israel. The story is about a bunch of like Israeli like athletes who were at the Olympics, and like terrorists came and blew them up and killed everybody. If you haven't seen Munich,
I have not seen it.
Like, it is so good.
Wow.
So like I've watched Munich and it was really hard to watch, and I'm like, you made like some of the hardest, like toughest, most like controversial stories ever in history, and this is the hardest movie. But watching it, I'm like, oh, because you're living through your trauma.
Yeah.
Like you really are just like having a therapy lesson from your childhood, because you're literally like, he talks about, I know it's loosely based, but a lot of people are like, it's not loosely based, it's his childhood. And like Seth Rogen's like, Steven Spielberg never talked to me, because like Seth Rogen would be like, tell me about your uncle, and Steven Spielberg would not answer his phone calls, would not even look at him. Like, it was crazy.
It reminded him of his uncle?
Right.
Wow.
Because he loved and like really respected his uncle, but he also had a lot of like built like
resentment and trauma and
all kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
and he's like, I just want you to do the story. I can't talk about this to you because it's going to ruin the story. So Seth Rogen had to go to the screenwriter who wrote the story of Steven Spielberg's life. I mean, like, the movie is just insane, and you can see it. Like, this man is like literally like making a movie about everything he went through in his childhood, and you would think it'd be depressing. And there are parts where you do cry. Man, like there are sad moments. There are moments where it like feels like raw emotion. Like, you know, you ever watch a movie and you're like, this doesn't feel like I'm watching acting. I feel like I'm watching.
Like,
there's a camera in the house.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like there's a family and the camera's just there, and you're just, everything is like just such raw emotion.
That is what this felt like. It felt like almost like a reality show or something, where it's you're just watching like old home videos.
Yeah.
And it was incredible. I didn't zone out. I didn't get bored. I didn't have like other thoughts in my head. I was fully invested in this story and where it was going.
Keep going.
I'm just Sorry.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I'm just amazed I was able to finish my dinner before the movie even started.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I ate my entire dinner before
I
it
know,
even
there was
started.
a lot of
You brought 2
trailers.
hot dogs and pizza.
And I ate it all.
And I'm
it
like,
was all gone.
I know, but the funny thing was, like, I brought M&Ms and Sour Patches, and, like, I was so riveted. I mean, like, I don't know what I can't explain it. Like, the way Steven Spielberg shoots movies since West Side Story, and if you watch the trailer for Indiana Jones, I'm like, he's completely, like, changed how he shoots film. From West Side Story to this, like, I don't know what he's doing, but it feels like a master in full control of the camera,
Every
the
aspect,
script, the
yeah.
lighting, the way actors look at each other. I don't think I've seen actors look like I've seen like great movies from Quentin Tarantino, like we saw what is it called? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Great movie.
Or like, Martin Scorsese, like he just did a new one about the Hoffman in Detroit.
Some
I forgot.
of the like face acting and the expressions they share between each tells the whole story. Because there's a lot of this movie where you're seeing it on silent film that he filmed in the 60s on this little silent film camera.
Yeah.
And all you hear is the piano music in the background, but the expressions on the face are telling the whole story.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I'm like, am I the only one picking up on this? Or is it am I imagining it? But you're saying I'm not imagining it. You're saying like,
Oh no, it was beautifully well done. Michelle Williams gave like a really incredible, nuanced performance here.
I mean, I think Michelle Williams has been such a great actress for so long in so many movies, and she never really gets the credit she deserves. I really think this is going to be the movie that finally gets her Oscar, because what she had to do as a mom
really kind of
in this movie is just like there's so many little hints of like what's going on, like behind the scenes of her mind. Like from the monkey to like how she dances during the campfire and like all this stuff. Like everything just feels so raw and emotional. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it felt very real. And she had a big task ahead of her with this one. I think Seth Rogen did a great job in this too.
Oh, he was so
amazing.
Gosh,
good.
I wanted to go hang out with him.
All right, I before we get into any more spoilers, I think I'm gonna close off this non-spoiler because it's a great, like I will say, it's a great film, really great performances. I haven't talked even enough about like even from the characters that show up in the middle of the movie, like where the kids get older and like the sisters change. Everyone from the young kids to like the older kids, and like I even like the high school kids who show up like later half. Yeah. Like those actors, everyone is really just great. Like great. And I recognize the one who like was the anti-Semitic kid who left the bagel. I forgot his name. Oh yeah. He was in West Side Story. Familiar. He was in West Side Story. Okay. And he kind of played the same character. He played like that a-hole racist kid, except he didn't sing this time. He was just there.
What a bummer. No.
But I mean, like really, like everyone that kind of like everyone is so well casted, I guess is what I'm trying to say in this movie. Everyone has such a huge and pivotal role. Even when it's like 5 minutes on screen, you feel the like you can feel the intention. Like there's no screen time wasted. Every scene,
every second counted.
And I felt that way with West Side Story too. Like every scene had like an importance. There was no scene that you could say like, oh, that could have been cut out or that didn't matter. No, Like it was like 3 hours of like, no, everything is exactly where it needs to be. Yeah, don't cut anything. Don't touch it. Just let it be. You know. And like
a literal piece of art.
Like, look, yes.
Yeah,
like,
it's an actual piece of art. Yeah.
Right, and we said this actually in the West Side. I just watched our West Side Story review again, and it was like, oh, you think you know what film is? Then you sit down and you watch a movie like this, and you're like, no, this is film. That's a movie. No, this is art. And I like that uncle who shows up randomly. Mm-hmm. This movie is great. Probably be somewhere in my top 10. Go see it in theaters. If you don't, watch it at home. I don't care where you see it. Just go watch it.
Watch it.
Yeah, definitely in my top 10. Loved it. Go watch it.
Same thing?
Absolutely.
Golden popcorn from us. Probably going to get nominated for Best Picture.
Yes.
Just like West Side.
Like, I wanted him to be
then you wanted to hate him. You're like, how dare you?
Yeah, but like,
rip that family apart.
He was
I don't know.
so
I
damn
still
likable.
wanted to hang out with him.
It's true.
He was so damn likable that you kind of couldn't
see,
even
like
mad
his,
at him.
his character was just so like sociable that like you really did want to just hang out with him because he
Yeah.
just seemed like a funny guy, you know?
Well, funny guy. Yeah,
Fun,
yeah, yeah.
uplifting, carefree, happy person. Yeah.
But I didn't think about what, like, I have to think about it. I'm like, why does Michelle Williams keep saying, like, bring Seth Rogen along? He's not even like family. Like, it's just some dude that works with your dad, right?
Yeah, I picked
But
up
then-
on that pretty quickly.
Oh, you did?
I did
Oh,
too.
okay,
I did
okay.
too.
Oh, yeah.
It was within like I think it might have been the dinner table is when I picked up on it.
Like the first
The
dinner table.
Yeah, the first dinner table. I think
'Cause-
that was when I picked up on it, and I'm like, oh, there's more going on here.
The grandma was so insistent on he's not actually family, he's not actually related to us.
Yeah.
That was kind of a clue, yeah.
Oh, maybe I just thought she was just like a cranky old grandma. So I didn't
No.
think much, which she probably was too, also. But yeah, that's cool that you guys did. I picked it up after like the camping trip. That's when I was like, there's something more going on here now. Now I
Once
finally
he was
really saw
watching him at the campfire, I kind of was wondering. I kind of thought his dad maybe knew about it and was just going along with it.
I
Or
think-
like
okay.
pretending
I think
he
his
didn't
dad-
know.
Pretending he didn't know.
I think his dad did because
think so,
like
too.
basically I think I couldn't help but kind of wonder if that was part of the reason why he wanted him to make that film.
He kind of wanted to
To know.
expose. Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought so too. I thought he kind of wanted his kid to find out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, he was a really incredibly smart man, so like he had to have noticed.
I feel like he noticed. I feel like he was just okay with it because he was just kind of complacent and it made his wife happy and that's all he cared about.
I mean,
Yeah.
he wanted to keep his family together. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
he worked his butt off, but at the end of the day, he was just like, what am I gonna do? Like, you know, like it was like kind of like his mom's. Yeah, I think Michelle Williams is the standout here.
Oh,
She
yeah.
deserves that Oscar nomination. She had to work the hardest, I feel like, out of everybody in this movie, where she had to play multiple, like she was having literally mental breakdowns like every 5 to 10 minutes. I
Yeah,
felt like.
I think so. And then the expressions that were on her face were
Yeah.
a huge part of telling the story.
Sorry, it's getting very
And
hot.
I was saying this before, but there was a lot of sections of this film that are silent film. They're on silent film, and she has to just use her face to tell the story, and it's really incredible what she can do on this camera, being a mom and a cheater and a lover and
Trying to keep her family
wants to do
together.
the right thing,
Yeah.
but she's not, and hits her kid, and there's so many different elements, and she's going crazy.
To be fair, he's not that hard, but he did deserve to get hit for what he said.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, no, you kind of not to that level where she like left a mark or anything, just like maybe a slap on the face or something. But that was totally called for like. But she didn't know what he was talking about, and then when she like, I loved it. It's like, why are you mad at me? And he's like, go in the closet, play, and I'm just gonna sit. And she's like, oh my god.
Oh, yeah, I get it now.
Yes. And we were all waiting for that moment. I'm like,
Right.
okay, this thing is coming. Where is it going to come from? Because, like, I don't know how it's gonna play out. You know what I mean?
I thought interesting that he like immediately kept her secret without asking questions.
Well, he still loves his mom.
Yeah.
He's not going to be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to out you to my dad. You know, like
Some kids would, so it's really interesting to.
Sure, but at the end of the day, she's a great mom. She has 2 daughters who are way younger.
3, I think.
3 daughters, right?
Yeah.
One's a like little baby, right? And like
Yeah.
also would hurt their dad.
Yeah.
And like there's like all kinds of stuff, and it would split the family. They would have to make a decision. Like divorce get messy, like no way around it. Like you're not just outing your mom, you're basically destabilizing the entire house,
Right.
which
Yeah.
any parent, any kid that has ever gone through it would tell you.
I thought the divorce scene where they announced to the kids that they're getting divorced was a really interesting scene because that was one of those where I felt like I was just watching a real family interact.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's
true.
That's a conversation that I've never been on the receiving end of that, thank God. But
Yeah, same here.
it's not something that you see very often. I don't think I've seen it in film before.
And the way they did it, like
was
where the older
perfect.
brother knew,
Yeah.
and he was just kind of sitting in the
Sitting in
staircase,
the-
is like, this was eventually
Yeah.
coming. And the sisters were like, why are you just sitting there? Are you on her side? Like, she's selfish.
Why aren't
and
you
like,
mad?
like, why
She's
aren't you
mean to
mad? Like,
Dad.
we're gonna
She's-
have to make a decision and like split, and they're having their like mental. And he's like, I kind of went through this already back in
he
Arizona.
already had it, yeah.
You know, he's just
Yeah.
like, I mean, like, he's not gonna say anything either, but he's like, it kind of, I don't know.
Yeah.
Did you guys catch that little bit towards the end of that scene? Or basically, like, all he was thinking about during that was how he would shoot that scene.
Yes,
Yeah.
I thought about that because he's like, how would I put the camera?
Yeah.
And it was like a
interesting.
little clip of like him like just moving around at the very end, which seemed really awkward, but like that was literally what he was
Oh,
like,
I didn't
thinking
catch that,
about
but that makes sense.
during that.
But Steven Spielberg was like that. Like,
Yep.
since he was a kid and he saw that, those movies, all he's ever wanted to do was pick up a camera and just like, it really is like, yeah, I know film, Hollywood, whatever, BS, like fake, like LA life and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, film is art. And and Steven Spielberg and people like them at the end of the day
Definitely
are still
one of the masters of it.
yeah, like they're artists, you know what I'm saying? And I think the way he filmed this movie and how much he probably had to tackle, like kind of like I feel like it was like therapy, but also like a love letter, like you were saying, maybe to his dad and his sisters and even his mom, and just like, I mean, I wonder if they're still alive and they can. I have no idea. I mean, Steven Spielberg's 80, so I'm guessing no, they're probably not. I mean, small chance, but the man's up there in age right now. I think Clint Eastwood is still making movies in his 90s, right?
Oh wow, is he really?
So I think like, you know what I'm saying? Like I was waiting for that moment where he goes to college and meets George Lucas and they become best friends in school.
I know. I was waiting for that
I was like,
too.
is that where we're gonna go? And they were like, no, we're gonna cut it off. You got accepted.
I kept
you
waiting
know?
for a side character to be like, and I'm Stanley Kubrick. What's your name?
Right.
Like something come up like that. And
Because
they
like,
didn't do it.
yeah, because it's so weird to think like Stanley Kubrick, like you're saying, George Lucas,
Lucas.
Martin Scorsese, the director of Godfather. Keep forgetting his,
yeah.
Francis Coppola.
Oh yeah.
Like they
Coppola.
all were in like
Oh, I
college
love-
buddies.
By the way, Sofia Coppola's movies, I love. It's so good, so good.
Didn't she make the Bill Murray one? Her like I know it's Francis Ford Coppola's daughter, but didn't she make the Bill Murray one? With Scarlett Johansson in Japan?
Maybe? I don't know.
You know Bill Murray, he lives in Japan, he makes commercials, and Scarlett Johansson. Oh my god, you gotta watch it. How have you not seen this
I
movie?
don't know. Send it to me. It sounds great.
Oh my gosh, it's
Okay.
so good.
All right.
Okay. What was I saying? Yeah, like they were all like college kids. Like they were all at UCLA Film School together. George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, Francis Ford Coppola, Martin Scorsese, like all of
Yeah.
these like
They were all
greatest
buddies.
movie filmmakers. They were all buddies just hanging out in college.
That's the power of like having really cool people around
That's the
you.
power of
That's the power of love. Oh my gosh, I love Back to the Future. I didn't realize how many Steven Spielberg movies I absolutely love, but
He did
there's
not
no-
direct that.
Back to the Future? Yeah, he did.
No, he produced it.
Produced it. Okay. Well,
But the director is he did all the Tom
I-
Hanks movies.
Yeah.
Like
what's his
Polar
name?
Express.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
He just
Also
did a new
starts with
movie
an
and it was really
S.
good. He just made a movie
It
this
also
year.
starts with an S.
I can't remember. It's okay.
It's gonna come to me in a minute, but go on.
But like, yeah, Steven Spielberg did
He
produce
produced
that.
it. That's
yeah,
right.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But
And
still, it's a great
it was
movie.
really funny because they did ask the director of Back to the Future if they would do like a reboot remake. Because like, Over My Dead Body, like the movie's done.
Yeah, no, he's like,
Those movies are
absolutely,
done.
I am not. You would
How are you gonna
ruin
remake
It. You would
Back to the
ruin
Future?
it if
That
you
would
tried
be
to
terrible.
remake do any kind of a sequel or anything. You'd ruin it. They're perfect how they are. You cannot touch Back to the Future.
That's true.
There is a Back to the Future musical that's
Oh, God.
live on
Of course
Broadway right
there
now.
is.
I've heard it's good. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well,
But like, there's a lot of music in Back to the Future. Anyway, back to Steven Spielberg.
I don't know what I was gonna say anymore. Did you guys have anything else to add? I feel like
My
I like the
gosh,
kid.
There's so
I like the kid who
the
plays.
kid who played him was perfect.
Yes.
He had this perfect mix between like obsessive nerd and like sweet kid and good like
Why is everyone
good
taller than
family
me?
man and like nerdy high school. He was just like a very, very believable as this character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed the scene where where he's like, why were you making out with the redhead chick then? And he like punches him.
Yeah, that was
And then-
good. He stood up
and
for
then-
himself.
Yep, and the next day he's like, I'm really sorry, that didn't happen. It's like, how did you know her hair was red? And he's just like,
Oh,
Like he's like completely like ousted, and he's like, "There's nothing I can do about the situation.
Oh,
Like it's done."
the two scenes where they like break the fourth wall, hilarious.
Fourth wall. Which one?
This is major spoilers, but if you haven't seen
We're
this-
doing a spoiler review.
Yeah. So the one where he's talking to the bully, and the bully says, "You better not tell anybody that I was crying," and he goes, "Oh, I would never tell." Unless I make a movie about
Okay,
it,
yeah.
which I would never ever do. Wink to the camera, you know.
I know, yeah.
That was hilarious. And then at the very end, when he's been told that Horizon should be at the top or the bottom of the screen, and then as
film,
he's walking
yeah.
off, the camera goes choo-choo,
Yeah.
just to fix the horizon.
I mean, it's actually very much true. Like how much Horizon, like even when you watch
Yeah.
the West Side Story, like the scene where the sunset, the sunrise is happening, where they take the body, like the guy, I forgot his name,
Oh,
the
yeah,
the main
it's
guy who got
filmed from
shot.
the
It's
top, yeah.
top-down view.
Yeah, and I was like,
Yeah.
wait a minute. And then I was thinking about the shot in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, where they're all on horsebacks and they're like walking towards the sunset. It really is true. Like where the
Yeah,
sun
it
is very important. That's neat. Yeah, I mean, did you guys never seen the trailer, right? So
No.
you were
No, I was going in completely blind.
I
on
went
it.
in completely blind. I didn't want to know anything about
The
it.
only thing I think I might have seen a little bit of the trailer, but like all that I remembered from the trailer was literally like him, like that very first scene, him seeing the train, and like
okay.
That was great.
That
That
was-
was a
that was
great
phenomenal.
opening. Yeah, a lot of times when I see a movie where they start off with the first 5 minutes being about the person when they were a kid, a lot of times they go, "Oh, you didn't stay on that scene long enough. I would have loved to see more of what happened to you as a kid." And this movie is like, that's the entire movie. And so
that's
I loved
true.
it.
I was like, oh, it's been like half an hour and the kids are still there, so Shannon's happy.
I was so happy because, like, a lot of times it'll be a 30-second scene of them as a kid and then it cuts to them being an adult and it skips everything in between. This movie gives you his entire childhood, step beat by beat by beat, and you get to see him grow up.
Yeah.
It was cool. I haven't seen too many other movies do that.
No, I mean, I think we talked about enough. I mean, I love this movie. I don't think there's one thing I didn't. Maybe it's too long, but it's really not. Again, I don't think I could cut anything out because everything feels so important to like the rest of the story. You ever watch a movie where you're like, oh, that didn't need to be there,
Oh, I've watched quite a few.
right?
Yeah.
I
There's
mean, like,
hours. I would cut hours and hours and hours out of most Marvel movies. They'd be like 5 minutes long by the time I got done with them.
right? I mean, that's because it's superhero movies.
Yeah.
You're not getting like cinematic achievements here. Except, well, no, that's not true. The
Well,
original
some of them,
Avengers
yeah.
is still a masterpiece in my opinion, and Infinity War and all that stuff. But I really think like this movie was exactly the precise length of everything that it needed to be.
Yeah. When it got to the end, I was like, I'd watch this for another 2 hours.
Yeah, I was like, okay, now you go to college. Let's see what happens.
I'm ready. I'm like, this could
We
have
want
been
the sequel.
a TV show.
Right.
If this had been a TV show, I would have binged the entire like
What do you-
8 episodes or whatever.
Oh, you know what? That reminds me. There is something I want to talk about. It ended with his dad saying, no matter what happens, son, no matter what you choose, you don't have to go to school to become an engineer like me or math or whatever,
Yeah.
right? Like, no matter what happens, no matter what you pursue, like, we'll always be, like, we'll know each other. And that line, like, hit
It was
home
really interesting.
so damn hard. I was like, oh!
What?
Because,
what
like,
do you
he's
think he
talking
meant
about
by that?
a lot. He meant his mom, their daughters, his best friend. He's talking about so many things in that moment. The way he looked, like Paul Dano is really, I mean, he was great as the Riddler, but here, like, the way he looks away and just kind of zones out, like, I was just like, that's riveting, man. Like, you are so beyond what you can handle that you have just, like, you've left your body. Like, that is, you're gone. Oh,
Yeah.
wait, no, wait, I gotta come back. Okay, now you're back. And then he talks again. And then, like, only so many actors can, like, really pull that type of acting off. And, like, I really was impressed. And even the panic attack, like, and everything that he was having
That
at
was
the end.
really. I believed he was having a panic attack. I was like feeling bad for him. Like I want to fix him.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, Mom had a panic attack, too. It's like, what'd you do? I made her tea. It's like, okay.
It worked. Calmed him down.
Right. No, absolutely. Yeah, I think the end of this movie really is Paul Dano's last words. Like, you are leaving our family and going into new horizons, literally.
Mm-hmm.
Like, go make a name for yourself in Hollywood and figure it out. Like, it's kind of like the end of the family chapter, is I think what Steven Spielberg's saying.
Yeah.
Like, with this movie, it's like, this is everything that has happened to me leading up to me finding my success and pursuing my dreams. You know, whatever, anybody that, you know, who's ever made it will tell you, like, there was a moment where they're like, I have to do the hard call. Do I continue to do what I'm doing, or do I pursue something that matters? And I think that is what the ending really is. It's just like an ending to the entire family storyline in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, all right,
Go watch the documentary that you can find online of the 3 teenage kids in the 70s who got together
70 show.
and remade, no, maybe it was the 80s or 90s. They got together and remade shot for shot in their backyard all of the Indiana Jones like movie. And they'd only seen it once in theater, and they storyboarded the entire thing.
Wait, what?
Yeah, there was 3 like teenage kids right after the Indiana Jones movie came out in whatever, like 1981, and these 3 kids got together in their backyard and they reshot scene for scene the entire movie.
Like even the boulder
Like,
rolling,
everything.
Wow.
And they'd only seen it one time, and they like went through from memory and like put the script back together.
That's awesome.
And the storyboard, and they filmed the entire thing. It's a cool documentary. Check it out.
All right. Well, we will be back for the biggest movie of 2022. We're going to end on a big note, which is Avatar. I have been watching so many documentaries. Like people are like, why did it take like 20 years for Avatar 2? Because they didn't know how to film in the water, you dipshits. Like, you can't film in water and make it look like it's
3D
water.
in water.
Yes.
3D in water.
Like, oh my gosh, it's driving me crazy when people say that. It's like, the movie is called The Way of Water. Guess what they had to do? They had to take a camera, put it underwater, and then make it look like they can talk to one another.
Oh my god.
And like,
Yeah.
it's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, it took 11, 12 years.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
So, like, no, not even 2000 and, I think you're right, 2008?
Oh, so it's been
2009?
like
Something
oh my
like that.
gosh, it's been a long time.
We got to find our tickets for it, but before all that, go check out the Fablemans.
Fablemans.
The Spielbergs. I don't know. That's what I'm gonna
He
call
never
it.
explained in the movie how he became a Spielberg.
A Spielberg?
A Spielberg.
Well, people just changed their name to make it more.
Yeah.
You know, Tom Cruise isn't Tom Cruise
Right,
in real
yeah.
life. His name's like Thomas Andy something. You know, like something dumb. Where you're like, that's not a
That's not a real
I
name.
honestly would love a sequel to this movie where he goes on to explain the rest of his film career. And
I do-
show the rest of his career.
I do like the story of Sean. You know who Sean Penn is, right? Rain Man.
Yeah.
Oh no, sorry, no. Sean Penn's not in Rain
Connery.
Man.
Sean.
Sean Penn he's a famous Hollywood actor.
Yeah, the I Am Sam guy.
Yes,
Yeah,
you got
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
uh-huh.
So Sean Penn picks up Tom Cruise at the airport. They're young kids. They're not famous, anything. They pull up to Dustin Hoffman's house.
What?
And they're like just looking at like all the movie stars like Dustin Hoffman and Robert De Niro, Al Pacino's over there, Steven Spielberg, and they're just dreaming about their future, their life, and like becoming movie stars. And they're just parked outside of Dustin Hoffman's house. And then like 5-10 years later, Tom Cruise gets to play Rain Man with Dustin Hoffman.
Oh, no way.
And then Tom Cruise is like, oh yeah, like we were just at your gate, just staring at your house for like all night, just dreaming out what it'd be like to be a movie star. And Dustin Hoffman's like, why didn't you knock on the door and come in? It's like, you wouldn't have let us in. We were 2 kids from like who knows where. I'm not Tom Cruise yet. I was like, no, I would have let you in. We would have had dinner and tea.
Probably would have. Yeah.
You think so?
Well,
I think
I
Tom
doubt
Cruise
it.
is right.
I
I don't think that would
He
have.
would have shoot him off the lot. Yeah.
But it's just like one of those like
Amazing.
weird things, like, you know, with like George Lucas and like Steven Spielberg, like doing this thing, like when A New Hope came out, Steven Spielberg's like, George Lucas, like, you've been like slaving away. Let's go to Hawaii for the biggest movie of like A New Hope, Star Wars. Like, you know, it broke records, but it's like, let's just go to Hawaii, turn off our phones, and you just relax on the beach. And Steven Spielberg took George Lucas before Star Wars had even come out because he was having such panic attacks and insomnia,
Wow.
making
man.
Go watch Industrial Light and Magic documentary on Disney Plus about the making of
That
Star
sounds
Wars.
great. Okay.
Oh my god! Like George Lucas, literally, like he's like, how are we gonna film this? There's no tech, and they kept saying like, technology doesn't exist where you make this happen of like
Yeah.
Starship, like how you shoot, like, you know, the beginning scene when it like the pod comes out and it's like a big like thing. They had to literally create a brand new camera just to create
Wow,
that scene.
That's amazing.
Like their technology just did not exist. These were like the top, like, I really feel like there was like a revolution that happened where like all the pieces were in the right place for these movies to have like
yeah.
just existed and like things
Yeah.
to just happen, because I don't think things just happen. And like it's insanity. Like, watch these documentaries. They're all on Disney Plus because Disney bought all the catalogs of like Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, and all these Pixar. Oh my god, the Pixar documentary of like Steve Jobs saving like the Pixar
Yeah,
company.
Steve Jobs saves Pixar.
Yeah, like,
what a
it's-
great story.
Oh my god, it's like mind-boggling. You're like,
Yeah.
why is this real? Like, Steve Jobs is just sitting in, like, you know, with his little pencil and glasses and like little those, you know, black sweaters, and he's just like, this is great. We should do a feature film, something like maybe make a movie about toys.
Oh my gosh. Serious?
Dead serious. And they're like, yeah, we'll make a movie about toys. Sure, why
yeah,
not?
Sure, Steve Jobs. I'll do anything you tell me to do.
I'll make a
Okay.
movie about this stupid lamp. Whatever. I don't give a
I
shit.
know.
We'll have the lamp
Exactly.
jump up and down for all we care.
Yeah, exactly. Like, throw a ball in there. I don't know.
It's like it's crazy. Like, it's like sports. It's like you know, you get so riled up watching these things. All right, guys.
All right.
I can talk all day. Like, this movie's got me
All
excited about
night.
movies all night. But we gotta go. Take care. Check out our last big Christmas special, and then we'll do Avatar, and we'll be done for 2022.